Hey, this is Real Deal Sports Talk with KP. It's April 12th, 2018.
That man Brandon, the damn rambling amateur. I ain't a fan of his, motherfucker faker than mannequins. That dude Kellen be acting harder than city felons, but he really gelatin. Niggas saw for the Cinderella.
Hating ass niggas.
Wow, alright. Damn, I wonder what niggas to stop hating. I guess it's been ingrained since Cain dropped Abel. It's not a fable, these niggas is looking foul, flagrant. You could tell from a mile away that my style waving. Bitches staring in amazement like they were stargazing. Your broad return with a sword jaw, cigar fragrance. I played the cards that was dealt, the faces is all aces. The irony of a fallen angel is God's favorite. Yeah, my whole persona so abrasive. I'm ice cold like being frozen in cryostasis. I'm Thor raising my written verses, it's all raises. Who else you know who can spit it hard with a suave cadence? Yeah, it's half man, half amazing. I'm so vain that I'm quiet singing my own praises. It ain't a phase, I'm stuck in my ways and not changing. I guess the way I was raised that made me so...
Welcome into Real Deal Sports Talk. I'm KP. This is my show. Holla at your boy. It is April 12th, 2018. We got a lot we're going to talk about today. We got a lot we're going to talk about on each and every show. Today, I'm going to make my first round picks for the NBA playoffs. They are set. The brackets are there. Check it out. Make your picks. Pay attention. It's that time. We're going to talk a little bit about the NFL draft today because we are a mere 14 days out from round one coming to our TV screens and taking up all of our weekends. I'm going to tell you which quarterback I would take in the first round. We are going to unveil my first ever mock draft 1.0 for the 2018 draft. I'm going to give another shout out to Tommy Beer. We'll talk NBA Rookie of the Year, the definition of rookie, and then the sad happening at the White Sox-Rays game the other day. We'll get to all of that on today's show. It's going to be fun. I'm glad you're here. For those of you who don't know, I'm KP. This is my show, Real Deal Sports Talk with KP. We have a website. Go check it out. RealDealSportsTalkWithKP.com. Real easy to remember. There, we're going to have our blog there for Real Take Tuesdays, pictures of different events and things we got going on. We got a check us out page for partners of the show. We got a page for you and your loved ones who need to get help, whether they're battling depression or anxiety or suicidal thoughts, sexual abuse. Real Deal Sports Talk, your boy KP, we're there for you. Reach out, get the help you need. One love. It's all good. Also, feel free to email the show, rdst.wkp@gmail.com. We have a text line, 720-515-5597. There's two different forms on the website if you want to reach out and talk to us, tell us what we're doing wrong, tell me how ridiculous I am or how great I am. I love to hear it. So go ahead and get at us with all that. We're going to jump into the show today. We're going to start off with the NBA playoffs. They are set after last night's games. All of the matchups are set. The first round is set. We know who the opponents are. We know who fizzled out. We know who didn't make it. And we are now back with... What is going on? We're having some little technical difficulties here, folks. So we are back with the first round of the NBA playoffs. Some of the key dates for the playoffs this season are, write these down, mark them on your calendar. If you are a big NBA or basketball fan, go ahead and write these dates down. April 14th, the first round will begin. Between April 30th and May 1st, the conference semifinals are going to begin. Those might be moved up to April 28th, 29th, depending on how these first round series go. May 15th and 16th, we are going to see the conference finals begin. Possibly again, you can move all of these dates up a couple days. And then finally, May 31st, the NBA finals will begin by then. It's the best time of year for basketball. The guys get to bang a little more. They get to get out there and have a little more fun. It's more exciting. The referees are going to eat their whistles. And on the Eastern Conference side, we have your number 1 seed Toronto Raptors taking on the 8th seed Washington Wizards. I think this is actually a very good matchup between these two teams. Washington could very well beat Toronto, beat the number 1 seed. I will take Toronto to win this series, but it very well could go 7 games. Then we have the number 2 seed Boston Celtics taking on the Milwaukee Bucks. I am going to take the Milwaukee Bucks, the 7th seed in this series. The Celtics have too many injuries, too many players out. It's going to catch up with them. Giannis and the boys up there in Milwaukee, I'm giving the nod to them in this one. Then we have your number 3 seed. Listen to that again, everybody. Your number 3 seed, Philadelphia 76ers. Trust the process. Versus your number 6 Miami Heat. We all saw the pictures come out this week of Joel Embiid. He's got the mask. Is he going to play? Isn't he going to play? I suspect he plays. I also will take 76ers with Embiid, Simmons, Fultz, and all them young guys they're putting together up there to go ahead and beat the Miami Heat in this matchup. Too much for the Heat to contend with. Indiana-Cleveland's going to be a good series. Do not expect Victor Oladipo to just lay down and let LeBron James and the Cavaliers to roll. This is not going to be a short series. This is going to go 6 or 7 games, and it's going to be a very fun series to watch, but I will take Cleveland to move on with LeBron James moving on out of the first round again. All right, let's jump to the West. We got your number 1 Houston Rockets taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves, who played a great game. Well, who played a better game than the Denver Nuggets last night to get into the playoffs as that 8th seed. Congratulations to the Timberwolves there. Houston, I think, wins this series probably in 5 games. I think this one goes 5. Minnesota might get 1 at home. Karl-Anthony Towns is a beast. Jimmy Butler, if he's on, will provide that extra spark that Minnesota needs. Jeff Teague can go off, but Houston will win this one. And you have your number 2 Golden State Warriors taking on the number 7 San Antonio Spurs. What a different series this would be if Kawhi Leonard was playing, if Steph Curry is or isn't going to be available, probably not going to be available. Golden State should win this series. 2 seed, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson. I mean, yes, Curry's gone. Yes, they're 7-10 going down the final 17 at the end of the season. But San Antonio's got Popovich. Popovich knows Steve Kerr's secrets. He knows what Steve Kerr is going to do before Steve Kerr does it. This one could come down to coaching, and if it does, you got to go with Popovich in this one. Is this the year where all of these runs for Golden State catch up with them? All the extra basketball they've been playing catches up with them. Curry's out. They haven't been playing well. No. They get past San Antonio in the first round. Number 3, Portland taking on number 6, New Orleans. Anthony Davis has got the Pelicans looking good. Damian Lillard's got the Trailblazers looking good. I'm taking the Trailblazers in this one, but I expect it to go 6 or 7 games. Then you got number 4, Oklahoma City Thunder taking on the Jazz. I'll take the Thunder in this one in 5 games. I don't think any of the series are a sweep in the first round. I don't see it happening. But that's how I see the first round playing. Oklahoma City, Westbrook, back-to-back seasons, averaging a triple-double. Donovan Mitchell balling out as a rookie in Utah right now, pretty much carrying that team into the playoffs. That's going to be a fun one to watch. I'm glad Carmelo's back in the playoffs. New Orleans, and I mean, there's just all the matchups are good this season. You got guys missing on both teams, or the right styles matching up throughout the playoffs. The worst matchup probably is Houston and Minnesota out of the East or Western conferences. As you look at all those matchups, Boston-Milwaukee might not be that exciting of a series, but it's a pretty good matchup. Washington-Toronto, pretty evenly matched. as far as, who's on the court, player versus player, styles. Philadelphia, Miami might be another one of those ones that, isn't that great of a matchup. But for the most part, the round one is going to be great in the NBA playoffs. I'm glad it's here. Those are my picks for the first round. Again, let's run through them real quick. We'll start off on the East with your 1 seed. I'm going to take Toronto to beat Washington. I will take Milwaukee to upset Boston. I will take Philadelphia over Miami. Cleveland over Indiana. In the West, I'll take Houston over Minnesota. Golden State to move on past San Antonio. Portland to get past the Pelicans. And Oklahoma City to knock out the Jazz. Those are my picks. That's the first round in the NBA playoffs. Those are coming up here real quick. We're going to kick those off here in just a couple days, actually. So that'll be some fun stuff. I was going to do NBA draft next, but actually I'm going to jump down and just do the other NBA story, the Rookie of the Year debate. This debate going on right now between Ben Simmons and Donovan Mitchell. And first you have to start at Rookie of the Year. Donovan Mitchell wore this sweatshirt the other day that had the definition of rookie on the shirt. So I decided to look up the definition of rookie myself. And Merriam-Webster has the definition of rookie as recruit, also novice, a first-year participant in a major professional sport. So if that's the definition, first-year participant, I don't understand why the NBA, the Players Association, or anybody else has Ben Simmons up for Rookie of the Year. Did he play in a game last year? No. Did he travel on the road? Did he practice? Did he attend meetings? Did he get training? All the stuff you would get as a first-year player, as a rookie last year. 100% he did. He was injured and didn't get to play in games. There should not be a red shirt year in a professional sport. You don't get a red shirt and then next year you get to also participate as a rookie again. No, your rookie year you were injured. Your stats for your rookie year were 0, 0, 0, 0. You are a second-year player, Ben Simmons. You are a great player. You might be a transcendent player. You got people out there comparing you to Magic Johnson and LeBron James, and you're going to change the face of the game. And nobody's trying to take that away from you, but you are not a rookie. You spent an entire year with an NBA franchise already, not in the D-League, not overseas, on an NBA team, getting paid on an NBA team to show up to practice, to go to meetings, to travel with the team, to be on the bench, to learn the NBA game, to be coached up by your coaches. It's unfortunate you were hurt your rookie year and that you didn't get to participate as a rookie. You probably could have won Rookie of the Year. The fact of the matter is, Donovan Mitchell is a first-year participant in a professional sport. He is a true rookie. It's like, okay, well, take in the current rules then, the way it's currently set up, where you basically can redshirt. Look at their stats. Let's see. Ben Simmons on the season. 81 games played, only sat out one game. 33 minutes per game. 54% from the field. 56% from the free throw line. 8 rebounds per game. 8 assists per game. So almost averaged a triple-double right there with Russell Westbrook. 15 points per game. You would expect more points from him. Turnovers per game, 3.5. Steals per game, almost 2. Almost a whole block per game. You want to see that block number come up for him, but good stats. Excuse me. We got a little bit of a video clip playing there. Sorry. That was for something else. Anyway. Donovan Mitchell's stats on the season. Also 33 minutes per game. Played in 2 less games on the regular season. Shot a lower percentage from the field, 43.5% basically. Had a better 3-point percentage. Not great, 34% from 3-point range. Less rebounds and assists, but he played from the outside as a guard. But coming in just under 4 rebounds and 4 assists per game. Steal and a half per game. 20 points per game. You look at their stats, it's arguable about who could be that guy. Okay? You could go either way based on their stats, based on the number of games they play, rebounds, assists, points, free throw percentage, field goal percentage. Throw in the stat you want. You could argue either way for either guy. For me, what it comes down to is very clearly one of these players is a first-year participant. The other one is a second-year participant. Donovan Mitchell is and should be the NBA Rookie of the Year. Again, I apologize for that sound clip playing. That was not planned. Embarrassing, to say the least. Moving on. The NFL Draft. Like I said, we are 14 days out from the NFL Draft. If you go to NFL.com, they have a countdown clock running right now. We're at 14 days, 36 minutes, and just under 5 seconds until the draft kicks off. They have a great site there, the way it's set up for the draft. You have the draft tracker, you have mock drafts, you have the picks from last year for each team, the info for the event if you're planning on being there, how to watch it. You can do predict the pick and put your picks in, kind of play GM for each of the teams. There's all of the rumors and the stories that are going on with the draft right now, right there for you to see. So go check that out, NFL.com/draft/home. If you're a draft buff or, just want to check out and see where your team's drafting, what the order is, who some people might be picking. I mean, it's all there for you to check out. Now, if you look at some of the different mock drafts, which I like to do, and some of them are hilarious, some of them are good, some of them are just so outlandish you wonder what people are doing. One of my favorite ones so far, and I mean it's early, these are just picks, but I kind of like how this guy went about making his picks. And that is Peter Schrager. Peter Schrager, he works on Good Morning Football. You see him on different sports shows here and there. Good, fresh opinions on the game of football and the NFL. But his mock draft 2.0, I actually kind of like. He's got Sam Darnold going number 1 overall to Cleveland. And we're just going to go through his because I liked his picks. We might touch on a couple other guys, but I liked his, so I'm going to put it out there, especially right before I do mine, so you guys can kind of see the contrast to where these things are going. If you want to read his reasoning, please go check it out. It's on NFL.com. You can see his mock draft 2.0 there. You can even see his mock draft 1.0. But he's got Sam Darnold 1 to Cleveland, Josh Allen, the quarterback from Wyoming, 2 to the Giants, quarterback 3, Josh Rosen to the Jets. At 4, Cleveland picking up Saquon Barkley. At 5, the Broncos getting Bradley Chubb, the defensive end out of North Carolina State. At 6, projected trade with the Colts. He's got Buffalo moving up to get Baker Mayfield, the quarterback. 7, Tampa Bay, Quentin Nelson, offensive guard. At 8, the Bears taking Denzel Ward, the cornerback from Ohio State. Pick 9, San Francisco, Derwin James, the safety from Florida State. Pick 10, Roquan Smith, the linebacker from Georgia. Pick 11, Minka Fitzpatrick, the DB from Alabama. Back to 12, where the Colts traded back, Harold Landry, defensive end or edge player from Boston College. 13, Washington taking Tremaine Edmonds, the linebacker from Virginia Tech. 14, Mike Hughes, the cornerback from UCF, goes to Green Bay. Pick 15, Vita Vea, defensive tackle, goes to Arizona Cardinals. At 16, he's got the Ravens taking wide receiver Calvin Ridley from Alabama. The Chargers at 17 taking Josh Jackson, the cornerback out of Iowa. Pick 18, Marcus Davenport to Seattle, the defensive end out of University of Texas San Antonio. He's got the Cowboys picking Deron Payne at 19, the defensive tackle. The Lions picking Mike McGlinchey, the offensive tackle out of Notre Dame, at 20. The Bengals picking Isaiah Wynn, the guard tackle from Georgia, at 21. The Colts from that Bills trade picking up another player in the first round, running back Darius Geis from LSU at 22. Center from Iowa, James Daniels, going to the Rams at 23, which this was before the trade with the Patriots. So that would now be the Patriots pick. 24, he's got the Panthers taking Will Hernandez, the guard from UTEP. The Titans taking Sam Hubbard, linebacker, Ohio State, at 25. The Falcons taking Maurice Hurst, defensive tackle, Michigan, at 26. The Saints picking up quarterback Lamar Jackson at 27. Rasheed Evans, the linebacker, Alabama, at 28 to the Steelers. Mike Gesicki, the tight end from Penn State, going to Jacksonville at 29. Leighton Vander Esch, the linebacker from Boise State, who's gaining some steam right now. He has at 30 to the Vikings. The Patriots taking Jerome Baker, the linebacker out of Ohio State, at 31. And Jerry Alexander, the cornerback from Louisville, at 32. So pretty decent 2.0 draft. He's got a trade in there. I see the reasoning. I understand some of the picks, especially with the way things are being talked about right now. Right next to his 2.0, you have Bucky Brooks 3.0, Charlie Casserly's 2.0. You got Charles Davis. Who else is in there? Lance Zierlein and Chad Roeder. So you can go see all of their mock drafts. I also like checking out CBS's mock drafts. Who else recently put out a mock draft? Maurice Jones-Drew has his out on NFL.com, so you can check that one out as well. Over at CBS, if you check out their mock drafts, which I like to kind of see how those guys will go through and how they change up what they're doing on their drafts, you can see Chris Trapasso, R.J. White, and Will Brinson's. We are having some difficulty with sound clips today. Got to stop touching buttons. Sorry about that, everybody. We're having a little sound clip issue on the show today. But that being said, there's many mock drafts out there. All kinds of experts and pros out there do their mock drafts. CBS, Bleacher Report, individual team guys. The NFL.com guys will have them. You got Todd McShay, and those guys over at ESPN. They do theirs. The guys at Fox Sports will have them. Colin Cowherd's got one out. The mock drafts are everywhere. So I decided this year it's time for me to do a mock draft. It's also time for this show not to have any more issues with sound clips. So let's see if we can get through the rest of this show without any more sound clips going off. And our mock draft, I did share it out. It's on social media. The link's there on our Facebook page. It's there on our Twitter. All of those are linked through the website, realdealsportstalkwithkp.com. It's on the website, realdealsportstalkwithkp.com. I think I just said that, but we'll repeat it again. Whatever. It goes right along with the sound clip issues we're having today. So, my philosophy on picks is pretty simple. If you're in the top 20, you're picking the best player at a position of need. If you didn't make the playoffs, you were one of the first ones out, and the rest of them, you didn't make the playoffs. That means your team needs to get better. That means you have some holes to fill. So if you're in the top 20, you're picking the best player at a position of need. You need that impact guy to come in. You're not drafting for backups. You're not drafting for depth at this point. You don't get to take a chance on a guy and try and build that depth or just add to a playoff team. If you're between 21 and 32, you're picking most likely the best player available in most cases. Because you can just build depth onto that team because you were in the playoffs a year ago. It doesn't mean that you don't take a player at a position of need if there. It just means you have fewer needs than those players in the top 20. Those teams in the top 20. So my mock draft, I did not include any trades. I have laid it out as the picks stand currently. I'm not going to adjust it in any way for the trades. This is just my prediction. It's fun. I'm putting it out there. You guys can, tell me how wrong I am and all that later on. But based on the guidelines I just gave you, here is what I would do if I was each team based on how the picks ahead of me went. Best player available at a position of need, and then best player available adding depth. So number 1 overall, Cleveland. I have Cleveland taking Saquon Barkley number 1 overall. They need a running back. They have that veteran quarterback right now. They can choose to wait. They've basically let everybody know that they're fine with picking up whoever they want, whoever's available, meaning they're not sold on anybody. They're going to have their pre-draft visits. They're going to, have leaks and rumors out there. I have him taking Saquon Barkley. He's a franchise potential type guy at number 1. Giants. I have them taking Bradley Chubb. They need pass rush. They don't have that on the defensive side of the ball. They can do a lot of things here. They could trade out. They could take a quarterback to groom behind Eli. They wouldn't take another running back this high. They need a tight end help, but not this high. You're not taking one of the offensive linemen this high, so you go to the defensive side of the ball. They have a couple players. They need some more. You need pass rush. You take the best pass rusher in this draft. Bradley Chubb goes number 2 to the Giants. First quarterback coming off the board, I have Baker Mayfield going to the Jets at number 3, followed by Sam Darnold, number 4, to Cleveland. I do think Cleveland likes Sam Darnold. I don't think that's a smokescreen in any way. But those are the first 2 quarterbacks I have going off the board, 3 and 4, Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. Then at 5, I have the Broncos taking Quentin Nelson. You need to solidify that offensive line. You have Case Keenum. You need to be able to protect him. You need to be able to run the ball more effectively. Yes, C.J. Anderson got to 1,000 yards last year. But the other guys you might take at 5, they're off the board at this point. You don't need to take one of these quarterbacks in reach. Take Quentin Nelson, solidify the interior of your offensive line with a guy who can potentially play and looks like he's going to be a great player for years to come. At 6, I have the Colts taking Derwin James. He is a difference maker. They need difference makers on that defense. He is going to be able to step in instantly, be back there in the same defense with Hooker from last year, and start putting something together. At 7, I have Tampa Bay taking the corner, Denzel Ward. You need a stronger secondary down there in the NFC South with the way they'd be throwing the ball around down there. So go ahead and pick up one of the better corners in this draft out of Ohio State, Denzel Ward, number 7 to Tampa Bay. Chicago at 8, I have them taking Isaiah Wynn, offensive line, the guard tackle prospect out of Georgia. That will really help Chicago. They're going to be a run-based team. It's going to help protect their young quarterback, Mitchell Trubisky, and give him time to find guys and throw to them in this new offense they're going to have. I think that's a solid pickup for Chicago. San Francisco gets their jack-of-all-trades defensive back, Mika Fitzpatrick, at 9. They would, I think, be ecstatic if that's how it plays out for them. At 10, I have Tremaine Edmonds, the linebacker, going to Oakland. 11, Roquan Smith, linebacker, going to Miami. Miami needs linebackers to me. They, for a long time, put money into their defensive line. That didn't work. They've let guys go. They've retooled some positions. They're kind of rebuilding. Some people expect them to take a quarterback here. I would go Roquan Smith, linebacker, at number 11 for the Miami Dolphins. Bills at 12, they need receiver help. They need playmakers. I will take Calvin Ridley, wide receiver out of Alabama, at number 12 for Buffalo. Washington at 13, Daron Payne, defensive lineman. Team him up with his former teammate there from Alabama and start getting something going on that Washington line. Free up Kerrigan a little bit on the outside as well with a move like that. Green Bay at 14, they bring in Josh Jackson to play corner. They brought in King last year at the corner. Some of their other corners, this will not only give them a starter possible returner, but it solidifies the back end of their defense. They can move him to nickel and have a starter at each position that is pretty good. At 15, Arizona, I'm giving them Mike McGlinchey, the offensive lineman from Notre Dame. They just lost their right tackle to Denver via trade. They could be looking to solidify that offensive line. They could go quarterback here as well, but I'll give them the offensive line, help them run the ball there, make David Johnson the focus, be able to protect whoever's playing quarterback long enough to get Larry Fitzgerald and Brown and some of the other weapons they have there, the ball. At 16, I have Baltimore going Orlando Brown. His dad played for the team. They're going to bring the offensive lineman in from Oklahoma and have him solidify that offensive line and play the opposite side from the tackle they got out of Stanford a couple years ago. At 17, the Chargers, I have them taking an offensive lineman as well, Will Hernandez, solidify that offensive line a little more. They're pretty good in the trenches on the defensive side. I know Lugit's going to be out with his suspension, so they could look to go defensive side of the ball. I would like to see them keep Phillip Rivers upright and get that offense going a little more this year as well, as Phillip is getting a little long in the tooth now. At 18, Seattle takes Vita Vea, the defensive lineman. He stays up in the Great Northwest, and Seattle starts to retool the defense as well as the offense this season. At 19, Dallas taking Leighton Vander Esch, the linebacker out of Boise State. That'll be a nice solid pick right there. Put him next to Jalen Smith and Lee. You have a solid linebacker core that can rush the passer and take up space. At 20, I think Detroit goes pass rusher. At this point, you go with Harold Landry. He has a connection to the new defensive coordinator. We all know how many of the Syracuse guys Patricia has brought in for Detroit. So I think they go with the Boston College prospect who played for this year's last year's defensive coordinator, this year's Lions coordinator, and a former Syracuse guy with Patricia, Harold Landry at 20 for the Lions. The Bengals at 21, I have them taking Rashawn Evans, the linebacker. We all know Burfict is out. They're a little weak at linebacker, in my opinion. You solidify the linebacker position, let some of their younger guys on the back end run a little more, open up space to them, and you get Geno Atkins and some of those pass rushers up front to do their thing, and all of a sudden we're talking business. Buffalo gets their quarterback of the future at 22, and Josh Allen, the strong-arm guy who could go up there in Buffalo, learn a little bit his first year, maybe even take over for McCarron that first year. But a guy who should do well in Buffalo. New England, like I said, they traded up to 23. I have them taking Josh Rosen, the other big-name quarterback, at 23. I think he would be a nice little addition behind Tom Brady. Similar styles. You don't have to change the offense too much. If the plan is for McDaniels to take over when Belichick retires or moves on, he wouldn't have to then change his offense too much for the next guy to come in. So I have Josh Rosen going to New England at 23. At 24, I have the Panthers pairing Darius Geis, the running back, with Christian McCaffrey. And they lost Jonathan Stewart. They need another running back. They have a couple weapons on the outside. I don't see a receiver at this spot. So Darius Geis, running back, teams up with Christian McCaffrey, gives the Panthers a 1-2 punch in the backfield that could be scary for years to come. At 25, I have the Titans taking the defensive lineman out of Florida, Taven Bryan. He's a prospect. He's got some building potential. I think he's somebody that Vrabel could really mold and use kind of in that New England way, kind of the way New England used him. Even though Taven Bryan's going to play more inside, he's not a linebacker like Vrabel was, but he's got this raw talent that can be used, and I think Vrabel gets that out of Taven Bryan, out of the 25th pick. At 26, I have the Falcons going defensive line, not Hurst like Schrager had. I have them going the defensive lineman Harrison Phillips out of Stanford. There at 26, Harrison Phillips, a good run stopper. They lost Dontari Poe, He fits right back into that defense, gives them some interior pass rush as well. Good pickup for Atlanta there if that's how it plays out. At 27, I have the Saints going tight end and getting Mike Gesicki out of Penn State. He had all the great numbers at the combine. He had production. He can block. He's fluid in the pass game. He'll fit right in with Drew Brees and give him another end zone threat, middle of the field threat that they can use to pick defenses apart. At 28, I see the Steelers taking safety out of Stanford, Justin Reed, Eric Reed's brother. Very similar skill sets, very similar abilities, and he'll fit right in there with the Steelers as they lost a safety in Mike Mitchell this offseason. At 29, I have the Jaguars taking the offensive lineman out of Iowa, James Daniels. Just give another blocker to Leonard Fournette. Bring that offense along a little more. You build from the trenches on the way out, just like they did with the defense on that Jaguar squad. Solid along the defensive line. You bring James Daniels in, you're more solid along that offensive line. At 30, offensive lineman Billy Price. Again, this is a pick. He's coming in injured off of an injury, but the Vikings are solid. This is a team that made it to the NFC Championship game. Yes, they've had some turnover. Their entire quarterback room outside of Kyle Sloter is different. You bring in Kirk Cousins. You lose Jerick McKinnon. But now you have the ability at this spot to take a depth pick, to take a guy that once he's healthy, he's going to be a guard, center backup, and he could potentially be your starter at any of those three positions. So the Vikings take a depth, a quality best player on the board type pick here to add depth to that offensive line in Billy Price out of Ohio State. At 31, I have the Patriots taking Carlton Davis out of Auburn, the corner. They need corner. They lost Malcolm Butler. You bring in this young guy, a lot of talent, one of the better corners in this year's draft. Solid second pick in the first round for the Patriots. And at 32, finishing out the second round, you have the Eagles. Again, they have the luxury of winning the Super Bowl. Let's add a piece, okay? We lost to LeGarrette Blount. Let's bring in another running back. We're going to take Ronald Jones at this spot. He can be a pass catcher. He can run the ball. He doesn't give us exactly what Blount gave us. He doesn't give us exactly what Darren Sproles gave us. But he gives us another weapon. That's my first round. That's my first mock draft. I can't wait to see what you guys think of it and how you're going to tear me apart about it. It's going to be fun. We're 14 days away, guys. The draft, I know it's overblown. I know it's become this commercial event. I love the draft. I loved it before it was this thing. I like to see how each team was kind of building itself and where they were headed and, you know, what teams in my favorite team's division were getting better. Who's my team going to get and how's that playing in? And can I forecast what the long-term plans of the squad's going to be? And we talked about, all right, we're flipping script now. I almost jumped to something else, but I'm going to come back because I did my first draft. And it's exciting to me. I could easily be a GM. That would be a fun job to me. Building a team, managing the team, picking the players, watching them succeed, getting that satisfaction of watching a plan come together and be successful. There's nothing better than that. Now, another thing that gives me good feelings on this show is at times on this show, and it doesn't happen very often, but it does happen, I will do a story before the national shows, the national radio shows, the national TV shows, or I will have a point that is on my show before it hits national. When that happens, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I know what I'm doing. It makes me feel like I'm servicing you guys the right way. And like we said the other day, when we used at Tommy Beer's stats from Twitter, check him out, at Tommy Beer. He had some stats on Twitter, and I told you that based on looking at these stats, I was changing my NBA MVP to LeBron James. I had done an argument for James Harden, laid out why it should have been him. I saw these stats that Tommy Beer put up. I changed my pick. We laid it out. We used the stats. The day after I did that on Monday, on Tuesday, national show, great host, Colin Cowherd on his show, uses basically the same stats to lay out why LeBron James is the MVP over James Harden. So I saw that. It made me feel good. I had to share it again. Thank you, Tommy Beer, for being a sports fan and putting those stats out there. Maybe you can help the Rays and the White Sox. It was sad to hear this. I don't know if you guys saw this. It's happening again with Miami today. They had less fans show up than a AA or single A team would have. But the other day at the White Sox game in Chicago where they took on the Rays, they had 974 fans show up. If that's not the saddest thing you've ever heard in your life, I don't know what is. You're talking about a stadium that can hold 40, 50,000 people maybe. 974 people in the seats. How many concession stand workers had to go home that day? How many beer guys had to go home that day? How many parking lot attendants had to go home early that day? Like, that's just sad. And that's why I say sometimes in these professional sports, you don't need so many teams. Maybe we need to cut back if the parity's not there on how many teams there are, or if we're going to expand more. Because there is no way you should have a professional sports franchise or two franchises that can only get 974 people to show up for their game. When you've done that, you've failed. I hope I didn't fail today. We had some mess ups with the sound. We'll correct that for next Monday's show. And you know how we are. We're real. That was real. It's real talk. This is Real Deal Sports Talk with KP. Until next time, do your thing. Be real.
Yo. Simple-minded young Negroes whose rhyming sounded like Migos. I hate the fact that some people actually think we're rapping equals while it's obvious. When it comes to rhyming, I'm Spartacus, and I will slaughter kids for the simple joy of the audience. While you soft as vaginas with panty liners inside them, I think it's time for your monthly cycle, but I'm no gynecologist. I'm a fucking rhyming smith. I can forge a verse as harder than a diamond is. I'm absolutely dominant. Do us all a good favor and crumple up that the paper you write and launch that shit into space like it was a fucking rocket. Cause ain't nobody rocking it. I got a zero tolerance for any whack shit in my environment. Call the firemen to pull the fire alarm. I hope you fireproof the booth, cause I'ma fire off these bars like a fireball. Trap music's influences impacted the movement, trying to bring it back to the future like Marty McFly. I'm sitting high in DeLorean, riding flying at 85. Travel back in times where motherfuckers could really rhyme.